Hey guys, non-functional fitness back second day in a row. And answering a question today, I was asked many times today at work, so many times, but can you train like that? And that they're referring to is like this. I am injured. Um, and yeah, people want to know, can you keep training? Do you have to take time off? It's going to be two frames of thought around that. Your doctor's always going to say take time off. Uh, Unless you're going to a sports scientist or a doctor who's also a bodybuilder or something like that, they don't see going to the gym as something that you need to do to be healthy, so they're always going to tell you to take time off and let your body heal. Then you've got the other frame of thought, and that's best summed up by this fella right here. That's Callum Van Moger. You'll probably know who he is. That's him. He's training there with a torn bicep. He was pretty candid. He was told not to train, but he refused to lose size in his legs. He knew there probably wasn't much he could do about losing size in his upper body, but he refused to lose size in his legs while he was injured. So they're the two frames of thought. What you got to keep in mind is your doctor's someone whose opinion you pay for. They've gone through medical school, but they don't live that life. On the flip side, Callum Van Moger is an enhanced athlete, which means what his body can recover from and train through is going to be very different to what my body or your body can handle and train through. That being said, I did just get back from the gym, so I am in the frame of mind that you can train while you're injured if you take into account some pretty simple things. Firstly, know what your injury is. Sometimes it's going to be really easy. Like, you can look at it and be like, oh, I have a cut on my leg. That's what my injury is. Or, oh, there's a bone poking out of my leg. That's what my injury is. Sometimes it's not going to be so obvious. You're going to have to go to a doctor and get them to tell you what your injury is. I watched my injury happen. My wrist was hyperextended very, very slowly in front of my eyes. So I know what's wrong in here. There's a ligament. I've forgotten the name of it. Scapio something, which is most likely strained. There's not a significant amount of swelling. There's not a significant amount of bruising, so we can rule out a tear. It's just a hyperextended wrist. So I know what my injury is. And that's the first thing. If you don't know what your injury is, you can't train around it. And funny, train around it takes us straight into our second point. Know how to train around an injury. An injury can actually be a blessing in disguise. If you go to the gym, say my injury, you have a wrist injury, and say your favorite chest exercise is to do push-ups. Now, I can't flatten out my hand right now. If I can make a fist and put all the pressure you want on my wrist. That's fine. But if I was to flatten out my hand and put that, no, I can't. That's agony. So I can't do push-ups right now. So if push-ups were my favorite thing to do for my chest, this injury would force me to look at different things I could do, like a bench press, where I don't have to flatten my hand. I can have my hand like this, where the brunt of the force over here, where that tendon's not being stretched, because that's what happens as you do this. The tendon has to stretch to do that, and it puts more strain. And when you have a tendon injury, think of an elastic band that you've stretched too far, and you know how you get those white bits where the rubber starts to come away and it's turning white because it's overstretched and it could snap any second. That's what a tendon injury is. So you don't want to stretch it any more than you have to. So if I have my hand open like this, the tendon is stretching. This is even painful right now. If I have my hand like this, the tendon doesn't need to stretch, so I'm fine. I can do push-ups on my fist. I can do a bench press. I can do a whole bunch of things. And an injury forces you to look at things that potentially, for whatever reason, you haven't looked at doing before. So know your injury and know how to work around that injury. Thirdly, I'd say that you need to know how to support that injury. Obviously, I have a wrist brace on. And it's helping. I don't understand how it helps. It's literally a piece of ribbon, basically, that I've wrapped around my hand a couple of times because that's what the box showed me to do. It cost me $12. And when I have this on, I almost forget that I'm injured. If it wasn't for this fucking Velcro, it's always like, it's just touching a little bit of my skin here. It's so fucking aggravating. But while I have this on, I almost forget that I'm injured, unless I do something like that, and then I remember very quickly that I'm injured. So see what you can do. Braces are great. What I would suggest you avoid is pain relief. Pain relief for an injury is great if you're not going to train. If you're going to train through an injury, pain relief is really dangerous. You don't want to dull your senses when you're trying to work around an injury. If something hurts, you want to know straight away. You don't want, pain suppressors in your body so you can't tell that you're doing more damage. So support your injury by the use of a brace or something like that, but don't mask your injury through drugs, especially if you're going to train. If you're in too much pain to do a movement, don't do the movement. Either figure out a different way to do it or go home. It's as simple as that. You can also look at dropping your weight. This is something that everyone should do from time to time anyway. Part of our brain, it gets into this mode of, I want to push more and more weight. And you start off, you're really, doing a bench press, right? You shoulders back, chest out, stomach slightly arched, and you're pushing and you got good form. But then, you start loading up more weight and your chest gets a little bit sunken, but you're getting more weight out, so that's good. And then you're getting more weight, and all of a sudden you're doing it with your shoulders. So every now and then, injury or no, it's good. Bring the weights back a little bit. Focus on your form a little bit, and an injury can be a great excuse to do that. But yeah, I'd say that you can either... I'm not going to tell you to train while you're injured, but I'm also not going to tell you not to train while you're injured. It's going to come down to you, how well you can do those 4 things of identifying, altering, supporting, and I guess dropping the weight is really altering. So really, it's only 3 things. But if you feel like you can do those 3 things, then you're probably fine to keep training through an injury. The one place that I would disagree with myself, that whole training around thing, you can't train around a neck injury. You can't train around a back injury. It's very hard to train around a leg injury as well. Those are 3 body parts that get recruited for everything. So if you're going to try and train around neck injuries and back injuries especially, you need to go to someone who knows more than you to make sure that you're not doing more damage. I just wouldn't. You don't fuck around with your spine. Another area I would disagree with myself is sickness. I won't train through sickness. I won't train through a cold. I won't train through the flu. Anything that runs my entire body down, I won't train through. Right now, this injury, it's not fatiguing my body at all. So I can go to the gym and I can work out and I can fatigue my body, and yet potentially my wrist is going to be a little bit more sore than it would have been in the morning. But that's just my wrist. If my entire body is run down fighting an infection or fighting a virus or something like that, and then I go to the gym and I put my body under even more strain, because that's what a workout is doing, you're taking away your ability to fight that virus, fight that infection, and you're going to be sicker for longer. So you may have the cold and you may keep training, and 2 weeks pass and you've still got a cold, and you're sitting there going, why the fuck do I still have a cold? Well, it's because your body hasn't had a chance to fight it. I would rather take 1-2 days off the gym and, be fine. I have a cold for 3 days and then I miss 3 days of gym, but then I'm back in the gym. Whereas the person who tries to train through it has been training as hard as they can for the last 2 weeks, but as hard as they can isn't as hard as they normally can. So while they've kept training for 2 weeks and I've lost 3 days, they've probably lost more working out than I have if you look at intensity and volume and things like that. So that's the answer. Can I train like this? The answer is yes, I can. Should I train like this? maybe. I don't know. What's the worst that can happen? It falls off. So yeah, if you've got an injury and you're wondering if you can train, ask yourself, do you know what the injury is? Do a little bit of research on Google. Go to a doctor. Can you work around it? Can't work around a neck or a back. And is there anything that you can do to support that injury, like wearing a brace? If you can answer yes to all those questions, probably good to get back in the gym. Alright, it's Thursday. Means we are coming up to a weigh-in a week's time. We're always coming up to a weigh-in because we weigh in every week. We'll see how we go. Hopefully this doesn't set us back too much. Peace.